Hey guys, Bryan Lebo here with a special video for you regarding the potential housing bubble some have started talking about already. Today, I'm going to explain how and why this would occur and if we can see it coming this time even. Now, as I discussed in my July update video, inventory supply has been rising, but is still very low at only 7,000 homes. While this is almost double what we had last year, it's still well below the 11,000 we should have in a so-called fair market. And let's be honest, a good third of those 7,000 homes are well overpriced. I see this in every single community that I look in. In fact, it's almost more pervasive now that multiple offers are gone and buyers are more cautious about what they purchase. So realistically, the realized supply is less than the numbers actually reflect, since a third of these properties can't and won't be sold due to unrealistic pricing. Now, while we have about 50,000 homes that are in various stages of default in Clark County, we can't expect to see them anytime soon, as we've already concluded from the notice of defaults that I cover every single month in the videos. If prices do officially plateau here soon, and prices continue to plummet in isolated neighborhoods, we could see investors and hedge funds just go ahead and jump ship. My personal opinion is that once the general public agrees that prices have plateaued, we could see many investors decide to just get out early and sell. While I don't foresee a flood occur, this could impact the market and greatly impact areas like Silverado Ranch and certain pockets of the valley that were primarily investor purchase targets. The key here is to monitor the inventory levels and more specifically, how many homes are sitting unsold in specific subdivisions. Some of these subdivisions are completely stagnant. If a neighborhood is stagnant in the dead of summer, what do you think it's going to look like come fall? Okay, now let's look at demand. First, let's check out new housing. The most recent sales track report shows April's new home sales were down 30% from last year. Now, considering the gap between new home pricing and resale pricing is the largest by far in our history in Las Vegas, it's not much of a surprise. Some of these new home prices are almost rivaling pre-recession values. As the market slows down, I see new homes demand being impacted, just like I had predicted going into this year. However, that slowdown in new home sales has actually boosted resale home sales to make up for that big loss of investor purchases. From a demand standpoint, I don't really see any reason to believe that demand will naturally decrease from here. You see, the demand, however, will be very much tied to the value of the product being sold. The only scenario I see where demand dies is if the inventory levels increase sharply in a very short amount of time, which will result in median price decreases. Some buyers could get skittish and retreat into a holding pattern. You see, the more buyers that refuse to purchase, the more the prices actually go down. And from there, it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So let's tie this up, this whole housing bubble issue up. I do think that prices have plateaued overall. My concern is for what happens once that becomes the general consensus among the public. You see, fundamentals always win in the end. When the market goes crazy, buyers become irrational and fundamentals don't necessarily dictate. Now that the market has slowed down and properties aren't selling overnight, I'm seeing these fundamentals slowly return. You see, you simply cannot sell a 3-story home with no yard for the same price as a single-story home right around the corner on a 6,000 square foot lot. You can do that when they're new. You can do that in an irrational market, but eventually the chickens come home to roost. Whether we see a housing bubble occur or not in Las Vegas, we're definitely going to see it coming this time. The key is to monitor the inventory levels. Considering how low our effective inventory is right now, we should be selling like crazy, but we're not. Demand is still relatively low overall. We would have to create many thousands of jobs overnight to rationally spur a housing demand. That's not going to happen overnight. But just like last year, when the inventory almost doubled in 6 months, an increase in supply is very possible in the future. What I do see happening in the near future, however, are mini bubbles. Those new home products that I warned you about last year that made no fundamental sense due to absurd pricing are going to really come back to haunt sellers this year and next year. Now, you may be willing to pay $100,000 more for the privilege of a new home, but once that home is 2 years old, you're now competing with homes that are 7 years old, and in some cases, actually a superior product. There's just no really coming back from these bad purchases. So to wrap up everything, I don't think there's going to be any massive housing bubble on the immediate horizon. Nobody can predict what's going to happen with certainty, 2 years from now. Until our inventory supply increases dramatically, I think the market will continue to just even out and stabilize. However, knowing the distinct possibility that the stock market has to come back down at some point, that we have a massive amount of pending foreclosures to deal with, and thousands of investor-purchased homes have to eventually come back onto the market, we really do need to be very careful about what our supply looks like moving forward. Now, if you currently live in a neighborhood where nobody's able to sell their home, take this heed of warning. It's not going to get better for you. Prices will come down until those homes sell. You can either get out now before the bloodbath, or you can stubbornly wait and get slaughtered. The same warning goes to buyers. If nobody is willing to purchase in that neighborhood, be very careful about what may look like a deal to you. All right. Well, thank you again for watching, everyone. Please feel free to contact me with any questions or concerns you have regarding Las Vegas real estate. Try and stay cool and have a fabulous July, everyone.